I think a lot of people are concerned. I've gotten some questions about me using the Piscifun, and they're like, is this a real company? Is it actually legit? What is up, Fisher people? Thanks for tuning in. So it's been a while since I've done one of these videos. It's basically a breakdown review of gear. We're gonna talk about reels and rods today. Normally I'd say rods and reels. I don't know why I flipped that around. Whatever the case. As you know, if you've been watching some of the videos, I've been using a lot of Piscifun reels this year. I've been using a lot of Fox River rods this year. I have an affiliate relationship with both of them at this point, so you should know that anything you do, if you use any affiliate codes or any of that kind of stuff, some of it does go to support my channel, but it doesn't detract from the price that you pay to get that product. In fact, you actually get the same discount. It's a good thing both ways, right? If you want to buy the stuff anyway, you might as well support the channel. So thanks for doing that. I did the first reviews kind of not as a dedicated video, but spliced into other videos. And they were, I don't know, let's say a shorter time frame of use case, right? Now I've had an entire season of using this gear, so I wanted to give you an updated review on what I think of the reels from Piscifun and what I think of the rods from Fox River. So let's start with the reels first. I've been using the Carbon X 1 and 2 reels, and I've been using the 1000 size and the 2000 size. The difference in the 1000 and the 2000, 1000 is obviously more compact. I use that more for jig and minnow pitching, live bait type of stuff. The 2000 size, it's a little bigger, so it holds more line, which allows for longer casts with heavier baits, but also has a higher gear ratio, which is designed to pull up a lot more line faster. And I've been talking about this in a lot of my videos, that when you're snap jigging with jigging wraps, a lot of times you will get a fish that slacks you up really big when they're chasing those things down, and it helps to have a high gear ratio to pull up a lot of that line to catch up on the fish. So that's the use cases of when I use the reels. But here's the deal of how I think they've been shaken out. Oh, I also forgot to mention the Prism reel. So the Carbon X1, Carbon X2, and then they sent me the Prism reel, which typically tends to have lively colors. So they happen to send me a purple one, but they also have like a mint green color. It's basically the same as the Carbon X2, but a little lighter is what they claim on the marketing stuff. So what do I think of the reels? Here's the Carbon X2 in the 2000 size. First of all, and you can see I got a jig and a plastic on there. It's a 1/4 ounce. I've been using this a lot for jigging wraps, but I will use it for plastics. I'll go either way on the plastic. I can do a 1000, I could do a 2000. They're both kind of nice. But after a full year of using it, both the Carbon X1 and the 2 I find to still be in great shape. I find them to still be very smooth casting, very smooth reeling. I've had zero problems with them, and I absolutely love them. I'm going to continue using those. I think a lot of people are concerned. I've gotten some questions about me using the Piscifun, and they're like, is this a real company? Is it actually legit? And it is. It happens to be a Chinese-based company, and they do most of their marketing online, in theory, to save the consumer some money by not being in retail stores and not having a middleman. And that is true. Like, the price point of the reels is actually really good for the quality of what you're getting. Some of it may also just be because I think a lot of these Chinese companies have embraced the model of online marketing and using YouTubers to get brands to our public, which makes a lot of sense. So it is a legit company. It's a legit product. It's good. It works. I use it all year this year, and I'm gonna continue doing it next year. The one thing I will say, however, the Prism reel, well, it is as smooth and it is lighter than the Carbon X2s. I have had some issues with the crank handle sticking for some reason, and I don't know if it's just the model that I got or if it happens with all of them. It also seems to be in the process of making it lighter. It seems to have more of a cheaper feel to it. And maybe that's literally just because it's lighter. Like, lighter things tend to feel cheaper, and something that's dense and heavy seems to feel really high quality to our brains, I think. But regardless, maybe it's just a bad one that I got. And I use it all the time. I've used it plenty of times in videos and for fishing. I've tried oiling it, and that hasn't really helped. So I'm not exactly sure what that issue is. I should probably contact Piscifun and see if they have a solution or answer to that. But if it were me, I would lean towards the Carbon X2, or if you want to save some money, go with the old school Carbon X1 for as long as, I think it's still available now. It should be available for a while, but at some point they might, want to continue to keep upgrading things, and maybe that'll be discontinued at some point. But Carbon X1 and Carbon X2 are great reels. Absolutely love them. 1000 size for jig and minnow pitching, 2000 size for jigging wrap, snap jigging stuff. whatever you want for plastics. It's been great. So now as far as the rods, I've progressed in the rods that I've gotten from Fox River. I started with their more budget series, which I always get this wrong, but it says FR7 3 MLS, which is medium light. So I think it's the FR7, which is their budget series. It's got this silvery color. It's a little thicker and a little heavier than what I find the FRX to be, which is, I mean, that's their higher price point rod. That makes a lot of sense, right? I find this rod to be great for a budget size rod for an entry point. Not even an entry, but like an entry point rod to me is like a $50, $60 thing. This one costs, I think, $120. So it's a very solid rod. It's just not, it's not a St Croix or a Fenwick. It's not a super high end thing, you know what I mean? But the other thing that I've noticed when it comes to Fox River rods is I would say the sensitivity is really good because of the fact that their rods tend to run a little faster and a little stiffer, which seems counterintuitive, but than most in a comparable line. And like rods, it's all relative. So somebody says they have a medium light fast. It's their version of a medium light fast. It doesn't mean it's going to be exactly the same performance as another company's medium light fast, right? So from my perspective, I think their medium lights tend to run somewhere between a medium and a medium light, kind of an intermediate step. This may be a good thing, this may be a bad thing depending on what you're looking for. Some people like the really soft bend on a rod to give them extra forgiveness for fighting a fish. Other people like it a little firmer so they can handle a bigger fish without the rod bending so much and the fish dominating the fight. The trade-off is that if it's a little stiffer and a little faster, you have to be maybe a little more in tune with what you're doing to play that fish or loosen your drag a little bit to do so. I don't mind it. I happen to like it sometimes, especially when I'm fighting bigger fish, but some people like a softer rod, and that's fine. So I think that FR7 is a great first step to Fox River if you don't want to go all out and spend over $200. If you don't mind going all out and spending over $200, the first thing you'll notice about the FRX series, first of all, different colors. It's a lot sharper looking. It's also a little thinner. It's also a little lighter. I will say that compared to like a St Croix, for example, I do think this is a touch heavier than a St Croix would be. I think it's a touch stiffer and a touch faster. So this is a medium light fast that I use for jigging. It's probably a little closer to a fast / extra fast. Does that make sense? And basically what fast means is like how much action is in the tip versus the backbone. So like how quick does the tip bend? A fast tip helps detect jig bites without the fish feeling you. And a slower tip would give you more cushion because there's more bend throughout the rod. So you want to find the right balance for you. I happen to like this one. Again, some people like something that's not quite so fast. Typically what they like is something that's a little lighter. They might not like the stiffness of this rod. But if I were to like demonstrate, for example, can I even get this in the screen? Let's get back here. It's not you're not really able to get a good view of this. But point being, this rod bends more at the tip and less down here than some other rods would because of how fast it is. So by comparison, a St. Croix rod I find to be lighter and not as fast. Hence, there will be a rounder curve and more bend on the rod. So depending on what you're looking for, that may be a good or a bad thing. But I happen to still really love the FRX series from Fox River. I like the fact that it's just a hair stiffer and a hair faster. It detects bites a little better because of the fastness, and I think it handles a heavier fish if you're paying attention to what you're doing by the side of the boat and you got your drag set appropriately, better than a really bendy rod, which may have a tendency to get at big fish, run in the show, and get you under the boat and all that kind of stuff. So I love the Fox River rods. If you want one, just know that if you're used to a medium light fast from a St. Croix or Fenwick, this is probably going to be not as light and faster. Does that make sense? Calibrate accordingly. But anyway, thanks for watching. Fox River and Piscifun, both I think offer really good price points for really good grade products. It's all been good for me. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks, fisher people.